as the person who edits the shows, I could probably list every single episode off the top of my head because I know what they are, what year they were shot, what date they were shot. So, but there were so many moments I can't take back. There was a time where Walmack said to Greg, "How do you respect a baseball player for sitting there chewing sunflower seeds all day?" You know, and then he goes, "What if in basketball you had a designated free throw shooter? You know, and you call him in and you free throw shooter." And Greg is sitting there. I know Greg's gonna react to that. That was classic.
Hold on. So what if we had in basketball? What if my only job in basketball was designated free throw shooter? Every time.
They probably should have one. Have you seen Joey Dorsey? He shoots 21%. They should be somebody that shoots for him.
But wait, hold on. In basketball, you have to play both sides. So if they said every time Shaq got injured, all right, Derek Fisher come, you could take every free throw shot. How would you respect that?
Now, let me ask you a question. But let me ask you. Now, did somebody say 10 years ago? You know what? Let's ask.
That's my representative. Representative, tell him what's going on. He trying to put. Listen, let me let y'all know what's happening. This guy right here, said that he said my man right here, my client. I said my client can't get a hit. I ain't saying that. You gotta speak. He said my client can't get a hit. We set it up. We gonna get a hit, and then my man gonna cook it. That's it. Flame broiled. My man gonna cook it. James Harden style.
I'd like to say, Matt, don't duck me this summer. I'm coming for you. I'm gonna embarrass you on the baseball field by any means necessary. And then after I shoot that one jump shot, because you won't touch the baseball, you will then have to make this vlog why baseball is harder than basketball.
Welcome, folks. How you doing? This is Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports List, period. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Had some issues there. We're still figuring out this format, but I have my co-host here, Greg, with me. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I had a good weekend. You know, shout out to all the fathers on Father's Day. I hope y'all had a good weekend as well.
Yes. Happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth to everyone this weekend. So with the difficulties, I want to just get right into it. We do have a special guest today, and it's a surprise for most. It's the first time on Smoke and Mirrors. We're gonna bring on Ray Jarvis, the contributor to the Sports Idiots, also the host of the Gray Area podcast. So with that, I'm gonna bring in Ray. Give it a second as he gets connected.
Yeah, so also shout out to the A's. It's Love Day. We got a game tonight. My
connection's a little spotty. Greg, you there?
There it is. Yeah, I'm here. What up, sir?
What's going on, man?
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi is crapping out of me again.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
All right.
Can y'all hear me?
Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. All right, Steph, do your thing. Steph. Steph, you good? We can't hear you, bro.
We back. Y'all hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think my Zoom has a case of the Mondays.
Jeez. It's the playoffs doing it to everybody.
Cool. Y'all in and out for me. Hey, Ray, I'm sorry, man. Yes, definitely.
All right. Yo, this guy got the Ikizi internet going on today.
I don't know what's going on. I got the job Wi-Fi, so I'm ready to roll.
He usually doesn't freeze for this long. I don't know what's going on. Must be new people moving into the building on the Wi-Fi.
I don't know, B. It's type crazy.
That's a fact. You good, bro?
I hope I'm good. You hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. All right, let's get into this.
Yeah, let's just go. Ray, glad to have you. Sorry about all the issues. Your first time on Smoke and Mirrors. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
So, all right. So we brought you on to talk about something specifically, and that is, we just had the conference semifinals finish up. Some big upsets, or I should say, really, the collapsing of the 76ers and the Nets. All right, we all saw it, what happened, and the narratives that are out there now, specifically in regards to the Nets. It's about, no excuses. And in one person's case, I'll keep them nameless. But in one person's case, it's the quote that the term they coined, which is there are no ifs in sports.
Right.
Now, knowing that, understanding that, and that in the Nets situation, their case that Kyrie was out since game 4. So game 4, he got injured. The Nets had a different lineup. They had a different strategy for this series. I'll start with you, Jarv. What do you think of that quote, no ifs in sports, and does it apply?
First of all, like I come on the show and there's no Declan. Where's Declan? I'm disappointed that Declan is not here. Declan has a lot to say in the comments, and there's no Declan here. I feel a way about that. But
Declan unfortunately wasn't able to make it. Sorry, man.
Yeah, Declan's a coward. It's okay. When it comes to the Nets and this whole phrase of there's no ifs in sports, we gotta really, like I said on previous platforms, we've gotten to a place as sports fans where we like to make excuses. We like to frame arguments. I call it first take-itis. Because of debate TV culture, everyone wants to have an angle or a route to being right. You know what I mean? Or they want to route to the facts without context. To me, when you say there's no ifs in sports, you're removing context. You're removing basic principles from sports. Like, again, if I'm a general manager, right, and I build a team and I say I want Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant on my roster, that means I want these 3 guys as the nucleus of a championship team, right? Like that's the goal. So if we remove Kyrie Irving and we take half of James Harden out of the equation, that means that that's not the team that I put together to win a championship. So to say that there's no ifs in sports, it removes the fact that this team was built to win a championship in a specific manner. If they're not at full strength and you're playing a team with a 2-time MVP, right? A point guard who knows how to play the game, and Chris Middleton having one of his better playoff series of his career. How exactly are the Nets supposed to beat this team? Like, again, you have the LeBron James effect as well. People say, oh, KD's this and LeBron did this. The Brooklyn Nets are not going to beat the Bucks if Joe Harris, I'm not going to call him the other name I was calling him this weekend, doesn't perform. If Steve Nash pulls out a bozo performance as a coach, and you remove a best player and a half from the equation, how is that an if? That is a clear and decisive outcome. Kyrie got hurt in game 4 of a close game. The minute Kyrie went out, what happened, right? We can have the data in front of us. The game flipped. They got ugly in the third quarter. It took 48 minutes of Kevin Durant in game 5 to get a win.
Yep.
Game 6, they tried to pull it off, but they could never get ahead. Again, you need talent to win. Is it not a talent-based league? How is a talent like Kyrie getting hurt an if? That doesn't make sense in 50 states. It's not an if. Kyrie got hurt, they lost the series. Where's the if in that?
Yeah, so I like that strong opening statement. Greg, kick it.
Yeah. So just to draw me you on the same page here, and for a minute I couldn't figure out how to tackle this no ifs in sports, because I don't know if you know, it's real prevalent in these Hitler streets. Like
it's the silliest premise in that platform, the silliest of them all.
and then what you'll hear in response is, oh, should we put an asterisk and go all the way back? That is irrelevant to the fact, because not every injury is created the same. Okay.
My point exactly.
If role players get hurt, it's not that big of a deal, right? If we're talking 94 and Charles Smith got hurt against the Rockets, who cares? But if you're talking Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, to say that I don't care, it doesn't matter, we can't do ifs, is BS. Pure, simple, unadulterated BS. Because the context, the same person that we will remain nameless, right, who likes to remove context for most of his things, does not account for, if these players were there, it matters. The complexion of the series changes. And
I'm not even to jump in. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then I don't want to hear, oh, Kyrie was out and the Clippers still won the series. No, I don't want to hear that, because guess what? They had role players in Reggie Jackson and Terrence Mann step up like they were supposed to. And other series, you didn't have those role players step up. So that context still matters. And we need to do away with this phrase for good. Burn the shirt, throw it away. I'm tired of it.
You know, it's even to the math of it, right? When you want to say there's no if in sports, we look at all of these stats. We talk about usage rates. We talk about time of possession. If you put up an NBA roster pie chart on the wall, right, your superstar players probably account for 60 to 65% of that pie chart. So for you to say this an if I take 30% of that pie chart out of the equation off the rip, how is that an if? It's already a handicap if you remove 30 to 35% of that pie chart out of the equation. It's not, again, like you said, Charles Smith, the role players. If I take a guy who's a 5% of the equation off the board, right? We can live with that. We still got 95%.
Yeah.
And it's the thing I talked about with the Golden State Warriors. And it's about building NBA rosters, because everybody think they can talk ball, but they really can't talk ball. It's chain links and pillars, right? Golden State was a chain link team. If you break one piece of a chain link, the whole chain link is broken. It doesn't work anymore. If you have pillars, one pillar can hold up the weight if one gets taken out of the equation. The Nets are built to be a chain link. Once Kyrie is out of the equation, that chain link is done. It doesn't work anymore. That is not an if. It's broken. So for anyone saying it's an excuse, or whatever the case may be, when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, it's a lot of hurt feelings. And that's the things that we got to talk about. There's a lot of loud Knicks fans. There's a lot of super team naysayers who are happy that they lost. Let's speak facts. Let's not talk about, ifs. There's a lot of hurt feelings. They got their feelings on Saturday night. And that's what it's all about. If we're not going to talk facts, we're not going to talk at all. Hurt feelings is dictating the narratives right now.
Absolutely. And then you have a lot of LeBron fans. I'm a LeBron fan myself, but then you have this other segment of LeBron fans is like, oh, well, if LeBron did it, he was And he had no excuses, so nobody gets excuses. That doesn't just because he didn't have excuses, that doesn't mean people were being rational.
Right. I mean, Greg, we could even say the whole LeBron James narrative, if since LeBron fans want to be so constant about this, right? We saw exactly what we've been saying for years about LeBron this year in the Western Conference. He can't take garbage to the finals in the West. He lost in the first round because AD got hurt. He couldn't do it alone with a garbage roster. Basically, what the Lakers were without AD was the 2018 Cavs. So what happened? We lost in the first round to the Phoenix Suns. So if LeBron fans want to be loud, why couldn't he do it this year? Oh, he was hurt, right? Well, boom, the same people saying LeBron was hurt, the saying that there's no excuses for Kyrie being hurt. You see the hypocrisy? This is what we got to talk about here.
Absolutely. So we're gonna keep going when Steph comes back, but there has to be an end, because it's a cute narrative, but it has run its course, right? Because now you have too many people subscribing to the nonsense. As soon as you see it, oh well, there's no ifs. Just to switch sports for a second, if Pat Mahomes had his start in left and right tackle, guess what? That's a different game. You can't say it's not. We don't know if Tom Brady gets a second Super Bowl. The point is context matters because, and I say context in the fact of key pieces missing. Mm-hmm. That's when it really matters. When you're telling me the Nuggets would have got swept with Jamal Murray, when the Suns haven't really had to defend any elite guard play yet,
we
don't know that.
There you go. Just like Kendrick Perkins getting hurt in the 2010 finals. A lot of them say if Kendrick Perkins played, right, they would have won the chip. But if you don't do ifs in sports, you don't get to hang on to that. You know what I'm saying? This is what we got to talk about. The thing about sports fans in this era is they want to hopscotch and pick and choose what fits their narratives. Again, it's the first takeification of sports fans. If you busy trying to build narratives as opposed to dealing with reality, I can't talk to you. You know what I'm saying?
What was I like that.
Yeah. If you building a roster with talent, how can there be an if you brought him there to win? He's not there. We don't win. It's one. If you keep getting 11 when you add 1 and 1, I can't talk to you. 1 + 1 still equals 2.
Tell me. It's crazy, bro. Joe, you still got more time to get into some of these matchups with us?
I'm here with you, bro. I'm until Steph get right. I'm gonna hold you down, bro.
I appreciate you. So now that we address the ifs and that they need to be done away with, thank you for that. I appreciate your support, sir. NWA.
It's foolish.
NWO.
It's either or. It don't matter. Apropos.
Facts. We're going to tackle the Jazz debacle, because that's what we're going to call it. That's really what it was. The Jazz debacle. And what is your take on how that series ended?
That series ended the way it ended, mainly because a coach got caught up in that whole thing about going to do what we do as opposed to doing what works. If you have Rudy Gobert on the floor, and they've decided that Gobert is going to be the person we attack, you have to take him off the floor, right? I said this throughout the season. There's a lot of people, specifically Andres, I'm calling names because he thinks he's low. He's been hopping his PG wave. Like, we didn't hear him say that Rudy Gobert was the best player on the Jazz. And I said to them, y'all can keep telling me about what the calculator says. What does the basketball say? The basketball says that Donovan Mitchell is the best player. The basketball says that Rudy Gobert is going to get played off the floor in the playoffs because teams with good perimeter play are going to highlight him in their perimeter offense and take him out of the equation. It took Tyronn Lue a few games to figure it out, but the aspect of that run that they lost was wherever Rudy Gobert is on the floor, that's where the ball's going to go. And if he's not going to close out on three-point shooters, we're going to rain threes on their head. And the thing is, he didn't close out on any shooters. He didn't rotate well. He left his guards on. There's plenty of times where I saw Mike Conley in between because he didn't know if he should rotate or not because Gobert didn't rotate. And if Quinn Snyder's there calling all these timeouts, get him off the floor.
It's almost like he didn't trust Derek Favors, who we all know moves better laterally than Rudy Gobert.
Listen, you going down with what got you there. That's cute. I understand coaches do that. But it is an elimination game on the road. And it's not like they were attacking Mitchell. They weren't attacking Bogdanovich. They weren't attacking anyone else on the floor. They were going wherever this man rotated. If he's there, that's where we at. Well, what does it take for him to realize that, you know what, maybe we should put Favors in the game, or maybe we should just go completely small because the Clippers went small. At some point, you got to match them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other critique I got on Quinn Snyder is why is Jordan Clarkson not running with Donovan Mitchell in crunch time?
Listen.
You need somebody to put the ball in the bucket. You struggling for buckets. Get Gobert on the floor, like you said. Go small. Get your guards in there who could score and who could shoot the basketball.
And it comes to a point where it's about saving your season. And I felt like Quinn Snyder felt like arrogantly we got this far with Rudy playing fourth quarters, and he didn't account for the adjustments. And we keep talking about it in the NBA in the postseason. It's all about adjustments.
Absolutely.
At some point, Tyronn Lue said that we have checkmate right here. You see number 27, that French dude, you got to answer for him.
That's food.
And they refused to. You had Terrence Mann have the game of his life. What is it? What does it take?
Game.
In a closeout game.
At
and
home.
how many open shots did he hit? It wasn't like he was doing it with hands in his face. What does it take? Like, to me, that's a fireable offense. Like, you don't leave your team out there to fail. And you got Donovan Mitchell on Twitter throwing subs now because he's upset because that series was theirs for the taking. They lost the game at the crib for the sake. 4 straight. 2 of them without Kawhi.
And that's the most embarrassing part. You lost to them by allowing dudes like Terrence Mann and Reggie Jackson to go off, who shouldn't.
Right.
You know,
right.
two of the best games of their careers.
Yo, Reggie Jackson is attacking Gobert at the basket. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Get him off the floor.
Repeatedly, by the way. It wasn't like it was one or two possessions.
Repeatedly. But I understand it's a money league. You have a big making $200 million. You have to justify that contract. Even to go back to Joe Harris, to me, the reason why Shaman wasn't on the floor is because Joe Harris got $72 million. When you got to pay these guys X amount of dollars, you have to justify that contract. But my question is, why the hell is Rudy Gobert getting $200 million to do what?
I feel like you said that the minute the contract was signed.
I said it immediately, and I had certain people saying that I hated on people getting money or like I'm not a capitalist or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, no, sometimes you can't throw bad money. That's just my argument. He is not a $200 million player. He's not an offensive threat. All he does is finish. He sets screens and he finishes. If I'm giving you $200 million, you have to play both sides of the basketball. And if you're not doing that, you got to get the hell off the court.
Absolutely. And as we talk about bad money, that's the perfect segue. When we talk about bad money, let's talk about Ben Simmons, all right, and the 76ers. And the Wednesday show likes to talk about the blame pie, but let's talk about it. Who is really at fault for this collapse here? Is it Doc, who has a history of this? Is it Embiid for not showing up, or is it Ben Simmons for taking a total of 3 shots in 7 fourth quarters?
Well, right now it's tricky. I guess you could say, for the sake of keep the same energy, another foolish angle that the Hitlers loves to take, that Ben Simmons shouldn't have been on the floor. The argument that I have for Ben Simmons is that he's still your point guard. He's still responsible for getting you into actions, running your offense. He did have 13 assists last night, right? But the fact of the matter is this. There's no random Tuesdays in the NBA. I keep saying it. You've heard me say that many times.
Yep.
When you have a random Tuesday in the league, that means you can play some scrub team that's going to the lottery. You can get fat, get your numbers up. You play a 7-game series against one team over and over again. That is a long-term relationship. They know all your habits. They know all your tweaks. They know all your rotations. They know everything. They know when you're going to fart, when you're going to go on the bench. They know everything about you, right? Notice that after game 3, Ben Simmons didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Which means that the Hawks had 4 consecutive games to identify how they were going to attack them defensively, right? So if you're telling me a team is playing 4-on-5 over and over again in crunch time, that's easy money. These are professional basketball players. You telling me we don't have to guard number 25 at all? Why am I blaming Doc? I can't blame Doc for that. I can't blame Embiid for that because that means that Ben Simmons' man is rotating defensively. He's making things difficult. That means Tobias Harris can't get the buckets he could get because the paint is a little more crowded because the person who's guarding Ben Simmons is roving, right? And then Ben Simmons, because he's so like dumbstruck, is passing the layups and dunks because he's in his head. If you look at it, Ben Simmons hasn't looked like the Ben Simmons of old throughout the season. I don't know what happened if the noise got in his head about shooting or whatever the case may be, but it just seemed like he became the world's most overpaid decoy, and then he became the most overpaid anchor. He held that team back. To me, you should have traded this guy. Like, I don't understand how you don't want James Harden, you don't want Kyle Lowry, but you keep Ben Simmons to play 4-on-5. I'm not blaming anyone but Ben Simmons. You've been in the league 4 seasons. You didn't improve your game. You want to be respected as Rookie of the Year in your second year. You want to be treated as an All-Star. You want the Supermax contract, Supermax extension, excuse me. You're supposed to perform.
30+ million a year right now until 2025.
There you go. This is why I asked the question a few weeks ago about what does Lonzo Ball do that Ben Simmons is doing? Like how much better are these players right now? I think like if you would have had Lonzo Ball actually shooting open threes and space to the floor, Philly goes to the conference finals as opposed to a guy taking up space.
Especially Lonzo Ball this season. I don't think people are so caught up on the LeVar Ball hype, they don't realize how productive Lonzo was down there this season. From three, space in the offense and playing defense, good perimeter defense.
There you go.
Now, what do you have to say about people that are saying, Doc lost the team, he lost the locker room? Do you think that plays a role in them losing a Game 7 closeout game to a team that was probably missing their second best playmaker, DeAndre Hunter?
I mean, you know what? The problem with Doc is that Doc doesn't have the equity anymore. 2008 was a long time ago, right? Since 2008, he's had collapse after collapse after collapse. So it's always going to look like it's Doc Rivers' fault because he doesn't have that equity. But I'm looking more at the front office of Philadelphia not building this team properly. They've failed on multiple occasions to get the right player next to Embiid. When you had Jimmy Butler there, you chose Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler, and you chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. The right answer was Jimmy Butler. You had a chance to get James Harden. You kept Ben Simmons. I can't keep looking at the coach if you're asking the coach to coach one hand behind his back. If you have an offensively limited player who in a 7-game series will be exposed, good teams are going to find your flaw and expose it. How can I blame the coach? What is Doc Rivers going to somehow make Ben Simmons a better shooter? Is he going to encourage? Like, I can see if Ben Simmons is getting his free will on, attack the basket repeatedly. All right, I can't shoot, but I'm going to get to them. He wasn't doing anything. I don't want to believe for a second that Doc didn't tell him to attack. I don't think Doc told him to take no shots. So I can't blame Doc for that.
That's fair. It's almost like he plays like he was scared to play.
He was in his head.
I could definitely see that. So now that we got, now let's just move over to the Brooklyn series. I know you had a lot to say about that and how that closed out. So give us your thoughts.
I mean, to me, that became a pick'em series. You could see it from the last 3 games. The teams figured each other out. The only gripe I could say really for the Brooklyn Nets, I didn't like how Steve Nash managed the team. He managed the team like a rookie coach on that last possession in overtime. As soon as they got the rebound and they got to stop, you got to call a timeout.
Timeout. Set something up.
Right.
Run something.
KD was gassed. KD didn't even want the ball. They're not talking about it. When they got the rebound, KD passed to Harden immediately, and Harden gave it right back.
Yeah, I peeped.
KD wanted nothing to do with that shot because he was gassed. If I'm the coach and I see that and we have 12 seconds left on the clock, call a timeout. I felt like Steve Nash coached too much like a player. Like he's still in the game as a player. He doesn't feel the game as a coach. He doesn't understand that Joe Harris wanted nothing to do with that moment. Landry Shamet was there. You're playing small as it is. It's not like Joe Harris is giving you anything defensively. Why was he out there? So besides his contract, you had no reason to leave him there. He wasn't giving you anything.
All series. And
they getting bludgeoned in the.
And then even when he did make a shot, it was kind of like,
yeah, he made a shot in the first or second quarter, then was breaking it up again. To me, DeAndre Jordan in this series could have been useful. He had 6 fouls to give. The Bucks decided after game 3, we're gonna live in the paint. We're gonna penetrate and dish. We're gonna post and dish. They were getting all the offensive rebounds, soul crushing offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
You have bigs on the bench. That's that D'Antoni nonsense. You get so stubborn in what you do, and you're not realizing that you have to do what you need to do to win games. That's the only reason why I never killed Frank Vogel as a Laker fan, because Vogel showed me numerous times I will do what's necessary to win. I don't like stubborn coaches. At some point, you got to realize this system ain't working. The Bucks, as much as they killed Coach Bud said, you know what? Stop living on the perimeter. Get in the paint. The Nets do what you do best. The Nets never had an answer for that. Even I looked at the way Blake Griffin was guarding Giannis, and I'm like, Giannis can't shoot. We know Giannis is going to get ahead of steam and dribble. Why are we not attacking his dribble? Why are you giving him that cushion to get the head of steam, to spin and get the lay? You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't adjust to that. They just kept running. The Nets showed no new wrinkles throughout that series. They rolled out their defensive game plan. The Bucks adjusted. The Bucks proceeded to win 4 out of 5 games to close out that series. I'm looking at the coaching. I'm looking at Joe Harris. That is the answer. And I told y'all, I got to keep saying it. I said in the middle of the season, Joe Harris is the one guy on the team that's going to dictate a Nets loss. If there's the one chink in the armor, it's that guy. The white guy who don't belong there. No offense. I'm playing the race card. But he played like a white dude. Because the thing is, when the shot wasn't falling, he was supposed to go get the lay. What was he doing? He was smoking layups the whole series. Where is Landry Shamet? Why is he in street clothes?
I didn't even see him on any injury reports or anything like that.
Bro, he was getting minimal minutes. I wanted Landry Shamet to get every one of Joe Harris's minutes. If you're playing guys 48, Harris needs to be in warmups, giving high fives. That's it.
the designated high five, dude. So now we got all. Oh, also I want to shout out Giannis because I was gonna have smoke for him if he couldn't get it done.
He showed up,
and he showed up. He showed up in both games.
I mean, Giannis is still a limited bagless player, but he ran into the right circumstance to close out a series.
Yes, I agree. So he momentarily he gets his flowers momentarily.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah.
There's gonna be a point in this next series where he's gonna have to do more than what he's capable of, and he just hasn't shown that.
The Hawks have young wolves who are going to want to take that challenge, and they're young enough and agile enough to meet him on the perimeter.
Absolutely. Speaking of Hawks, John Collins' troll job on Joel Embiid might have been the best troll job all season. The post game shirt interview. What you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the least.
So that was quality trolling. But
Absolutely.
I know what I saw in Game 6. He didn't want that. He didn't want that smoke. He thought he did, but Embiid got in his face and he thought better of it. So you can wear whatever shirt you want to wear. When he was in your face, what did you do? It took Trey to get him off you. So wear your shirt.
Now we got the conference final set up. Suns just won Game 1. Deep Book channeled his inner Kobe. They're up 1-0. Who do you have coming out of both conferences?
It makes me sick to say it, but I gotta say Phoenix. I've been wrong on Phoenix all postseason, even though the Lakers have a caveat, but facts are facts. I was wrong all postseason. I can't, honestly, with the way that the Clippers look, just without Kawhi and the fact that we know Chris Paul is on his way back, I can't in good faith pick the Clippers. Like, I want to be wrong. I want the Clippers to win. Go figure. But the way the Suns look, they've won, what is it now, 7 straight games? Yeah. I can't pick against that.
I feel you on that. Before we get into who I pick, let me shout out my guy, Ziggy, right? Ziggy, I'm not saying your government name.
Mm-hmm.
Clippers, shut me up, bro. All right? I am contrite. I am contrite. And they did it without Kawhi, and everybody who needed to show up, showed up. So props to them. Yeah. And you get to talk your ish for one more series, bro. I'm quiet. Declan,
but you know what? I'll say this.
One quick. Declan, this is how you stay humble. All right? When you're wrong, you just admit you're wrong. Go ahead, Josh.
I think it took the right circumstances for the Clippers to show up, like beating a fraudulent Jazz team who showed themselves to be frauds in the end. I don't owe Ziggy anything. The Jazz are frauds.
I mean, they kind of proved it now. That's probably why Donovan Mitchell was upset. He probably was in Quinn Snyder's ear like, nah, we need to do this. And Quinn Snyder was like, nah, I'm the coach.
I'm the coach. Soon to be fired coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so East Conference. I'm sorry. I'm going with the Suns. My guy CP3. I need nothing more than CP3 to win a ring, so me and Mike Miller can have a conversation. Yeah. Don't do that. I had to listen to your last episode of Playoff Talk where Mike Miller tell me that CP3's 21 points didn't really matter.
I mean, he scored a lot of that when they were up double figures. Let's call it what it is. Don't be a fanboy now, bro. Don't be a fanboy, son.
Listen. My guy makes it to the conference finals for the first time in his career. Healthy?
Second time.
Healthy-ish.
Second time.
Healthy-ish? I got to run with that. I got to run with that. So that's what I'm going to do.
All right. I just need the sports gods to do what's right. That's all.
Now, Bucks Hawks is, I think, really interesting because you have two teams with really contrasting styles of play. What do you have here?
I'm gonna go with the grown men in Milwaukee. Like, if Milwaukee decides to continue to be physical, continue to attack the paint, they have the length to deal with a Trae Young. They have the shooting. They have all the tools. They have the tools that the Hawks' previous opponents didn't have to match up with them. So I expect them to go through. I think, I think John Collins is the matchup for Giannis. But if he proves to not be the answer, you don't want Capella on them. I don't know. I think Gallinari's going to take some fouls. I think they have the length to deal with Giannis, but I feel like if Giannis continues to attack the paint, I even saw sometimes where they actually, instead of having him go full head of steam, he was setting up in the post. I think he needs to do more of that. I want to see more Drew Holiday in this. I think this is a holiday series a lot. But I think the grown men, the Hawks are a cool story to me in this weird postseason playoffs, whatever's going on in the NBA, injuries and randomness at this point. I think that the grown men should take care of business in 6 games, but if the Hawks prove me wrong, they've gotten this far, winning 3 road games, and the series is unheard of in this era. So, you want me to be honest with you? I'll be honest with Smoking Mirrors. I really don't know. But if I had to pick one based on what I know about basketball, I have to go with the Bucks.
So the Hawks had me in a flux all postseason, to be honest.
Right.
And last series, I was back and forth. I was like, even Game 7, I was like, I don't know. It's a pick 'em. I don't know. But I'm also gonna have to go with the Bucks, but for a different reason. Both coaches have showed they can adjust on the fly in the playoffs. So it's definitely gonna be a chess match first 3 games. But I think the experience factor on the Bucks side is what's gonna play here. And I do think you're right about Drew Holiday. I want to see that Drew Holiday Trae Young matchup. I think that's the key to the series. And I don't think DeAndre Hunter's back, and I think that's going to hurt them in this particular series because honestly, nobody's talking about it, but Connaughton has played valuable minutes for the Bucks, way more than Joe Harris in that series.
If the Nets got had the Nets got what Connaughton gave the Bucks, the Nets are in the conference finals.
Absolutely,
it was a tale of 2 white boys. You know what I'm saying? One dude did his job, the other one didn't.
Absolutely, 100%.
What's funny? And you said something about the Hawks, and it's like, to me, if you look at NBA playoff cliches, the Hawks lost every game that you think a team in a position would lose. They lost the game 3 and gave back home court advantage. They went up 3-2, and we all knew that the Sixers were going to win Game 6. They lost that game. Then you go on a road and win Game 7. They don't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Nate McMillan, a black coach, okay, doing his thing. He was written off by other organizations, and in this spot with this young group of guys, he's living up to expectations that no one thought he would be able to live up to. Shout out to Nate.
Facts. I think I heard some crazy stat during the game. Since he took over, they're like first or second in overall team defense or something like that. Which it looks like that's what. And this is what happens when a general manager sees something wrong and makes the right move. Unlike in Philly.
Come on. James Harden for Ben Simmons? How are we talking about this? I don't understand.
First of all, I don't care I don't care any team. You trade whatever you have to get a James Harden. And it's something that he wasn't fully healthy, because that also matters.
They trusted the process until the process betrayed them.
Absolutely. And shout out to you for all this NBA talk. Y'all getting some insightful NBA talk from our man's Ray Jarvis from the gray area over here with Smoke and Mirrors, as Steph is resituated himself. But
he got lost in the matrix.
Facts. So we're going to shift topics real quick. For those of you that don't know, Jarv is a fellow Met fan.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we enjoy our Mets talk. And even when we're talking basketball, we still have the wherewithal in the group chat to talk Mets and still talk basketball, because we can do 2 things at once.
Oh, man. Multitasking. So difficult.
Facts. I don't know if you saw the GIF I sent earlier. Somebody said, you could watch my bitch ass that's on the show. So I was gonna come out shooting. I'm shooting all day.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm shooting all day. All right, dudes know how to multitask over here.
I don't know. I don't know if they can. They busy yelling if, and there's no ifs, and getting T-shirts made. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man. Now, baseball wise, right? There was something that happened and you called it. You did say the Mets were going to go lose this series. So shout out to you. You on top of that. In typical Mets fashion, 3 out of 4 to a team that they should beat, and let Kyle Schwarber beat them by himself.
Oh my God!
By himself.
It's like every time I look at the phone, it says Schwarber home run because I didn't get to really sit down with the games. I'm getting alerts on my phone. I'm like, what's going on?
Man, I'm gonna get to Schwarber in a second. But in a day-night doubleheader, right? The first game, David Peterson pitched a gem through. I think it was 4 in the third or 4 and 2/3. He didn't go to complete 5, and Luke came in and got 1 out, and the Mets were up. I think they were up there. I think that's the game they won. And
I think they were 5-1 or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm listening to it on WCBS radio, and they're like, well, Luke is online for the win. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Why is he? And I realized, in 9 innings, a starting pitch has to pitch 5 innings for the game. And this is where I have an issue with MLB and their antiquated rules. Why is it that you change the rules for doubleheaders now instead of 2 9s, it's 2 7s, but you cannot change the rules to get because David Peters. These players make money based on wins, strikeouts. Yeah. So how do you take that from him? How do you take that from these pitchers without, going back in the rule book and saying, hey, this needs to change in this particular situation? What's your take on MLB not changing that?
I don't know. Like baseball seems like they're in a weird place of wanting to be forward thinking while also not offending the old guys. Like, I don't know. Like they're, you know what I mean?
100% agree, man. 100%
because
agree. And go ahead.
For you to change the rules on the sticky stuff a third of the way through the season, leading to injuries, leading to a prominent injury, no less. And he said it as much, Glasnow. But at the same time, you change because you want to worry about the speed of the game, the pace of the game, right? So like you have the new extra inning rules, you have the new doubleheader rules, seven innings. If you can't keep halfway changing the rules, right? Or doing things haphazardly. Granted, I understand what the commissioner is doing. Like to me, I think he's figured out that the best thing for the sport is for him to be a heel commissioner and get the clicks, get the media talking about baseball, get more eyes on the product. But you're doing it at risk of turning off your players even more. Like it's about to be a labor strike coming up at the end of the season, if I'm not mistaken. And it's things like this. Like I think Madison Bumgarner threw a no-hitter in 7 innings,
and
it doesn't count.
Like,
so the win counts, but the no-hitter doesn't count? So why are we playing 7-inning games then? What's the point?
Crazy thing is they called it a complete game.
So what are we doing? You know what I mean? So it just seems as though I think we have a commissioner who's trying to do too many things at once, and he does. I don't know if he has the right inner circle around him. He's not making efficient decisions, even like teasing us last season with the DH and then taking it back this season. Once you introduce a DH to the National League, you're not supposed to take it back. There's no turning back, but he does it.
I mean, the only good thing about pitchers hitting this year is Jacob deGrom. That's it.
Right.
And that's not enough to warrant keeping pitchers in the 9th spot in the National League.
And then that ruling on top of that affected how teams signed players because you couldn't tell me Marcell Ozuna wouldn't have been a Met if the DH was in place.
Absolutely.
Instead, we have to watch him play for the Braves because the idiot commissioner makes weird decisions because, again, he wants to appease yesteryear and then hold the DH for hostage. There. You're holding the DH for hostage by saying we want more playoff teams and more playoff revenue, et cetera, et cetera. Bro, if you change the rules, you lean into it. Why? Because as we've seen, Greg, the old people ain't going nowhere. They're going to watch the games anyway. They'll just be mad, but they're going to watch. Mm-hmm. Baseball needs to just lean into football. Football at some point said, when we were kids, they said we're going to change all these rules. That's going to be that. Take it or leave it. What happened? It became the most popular sport. Baseball needs to do the same thing. Change these rules, get more modern. It's not 1927 anymore.
Absolutely.
Change it.
And then also, even with the uniform changes, why are only 6 teams doing city jerseys? These city jerseys is fire. Well, except maybe Boston. But what I'm saying is like
Boston had the worst one.
Yeah, absolutely, by far. But what it does is it makes younger fans like, yo, that Southside Chicago jersey. They couldn't even be a fan of baseball, but if they see that, they may watch that. Oh, that's fire. Let me turn that on. Let me see what's going on. Just little things. Even like the home run clock in San Diego, the spinning chain.
Right.
Like we need more of that in baseball. We need more. Let the kids have fun. And
can I start a little more trouble?
Go ahead.
What we need are more POCs in baseball.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
people of color usually spearhead the change, because if we want to do the unwritten rules to stick to yesteryear, all of these things are attached to white people. So when you start adding the juice and the swag into the sport, where you seeing the juice and the swag come from? The Latins and the blacks, right? So and then there's the white people and the older whites. Listen to how they call the games. They're the ones who get upset. But if you want baseball to be successful in this microwave climate, you need to lean into everything quick, everything modern, everything swag. And if you refuse to do that, you lead to injuries, you lead to disinterest, you lead to people like us talking on this podcast about the fact that the league is half-assing all these things that matter to the sport.
And they're catering to the wrong fan base, because if we're being factually correct here, a lot of those fans aren't going to be watching baseball that much longer. in the grand scheme of life, you know, where you want to get younger fans more interested. You do things like, you know, the home run chain and let guys swing 3-0 and hit grand slams and not have their manager throw them under the bus for it.
Come on.
Again,
baseball is more interesting.
You look like you need a hug. We got you, bro. We got you.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Bro, it's been such a struggle.
Oh my God.
I've been listening to y'all. Yo, Jarv, you've been cooking, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. Like,
I mean, it's my first appearance. I can't fumble the bag, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's just me fumbling. But one thing I do want to say, Greg, because I did hear what you just said about those folks not being there anymore. And Jarv, I agree with you. We need more people of color. But it's not just old white folks. It's white people, and a majority of them, even the young ones, because that influence comes from their older generation.
True.
You know, so like
for
every time that there's a bat flip, or, you know, there's the person of color that gets excited about a play, there's a white person that gets upset that they're not sticking to the traditions of baseball and just getting their hit, or, you know, going down, you're getting the home run, going along their way, jogging quickly, not taking their time. Fernando Tatis doing that skip before he gets to third base is great, because the whole stadium waits for it. The whole stadium is waiting for Fernando Tatis to hit a home run and do his little skip before he hits third base. That is good. That's good for baseball. That's good for any sport. But it
adds more juice to the sport.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's all about the
rivalries. Like Dodgers Padres is something I look forward to,
yes,
no matter what I'm doing or no matter what time of the season.
I'm looking forward to Padres Mets now. Like, because to me, when I was in that stadium watching that game, like anything with the Padres to me is energy, right? That whole team, right, with the way that they play, can provide some type of rivalry where when they come to town again, you are showing up, because either they embarrass you, or when they were playing, they played so hard that you were like, damn, we can't beat this team. We got to beat them. You know, so that's the kind of energy every team needs.
It brings out the best in the other opponents, and it brings out smoke. Like, we look at that Cubs series, and Jock Peterson hit that home run, and he did the skip. Like, these are the little things that add. Like, now, when the Cubs play the Padres, we're always going to look for what Peterson's going to do. We see what Bauer's doing when they play the Padres. We are understanding that this is what brings the energy out to the game, because that's what we need. Think about it. We're Met fans.
Yep.
The thing what they loved about the 80s Mets was the swag. It wasn't the winning. It was doing coke. And
I was saying the cocaine, boy, the cocaine off the bat.
And they will fight. And if you threw at one of them, they will go and fight you, and they will go bust your ass and talk about it. Baseball is better when a team has juice. Think about the mid-2000s Sox. Those teams that won championships. That was an entertaining
dirty,
team.
grungy. They didn't care.
We don't want white-collar baseball right now. We want all of that. Like, think about it. They say Mike Trout is the best player in the sport, but we don't care. We care about Fernando Tatis.
Mike Trout has never had the energy that Fernando Tatis has had. I'm talking about like from fanfare perspective, because he just goes about his business and people know he's great, but he gets forgotten about so often. But as good as Mike Trout is, with the numbers that he has, you would think that he would constantly be in the mouths of people, you know, talking about baseball, but he hasn't been. It's kind of like oh man, Mike Trout's doing what he does. I kind of forgot because he's just quiet about it. But you don't need that. And I was going to bring that back to how baseball is played in New York, because when you play in the city, it's a very different style of baseball than when you go out on Long Island.
Long Island, yeah.
We have experienced that by being in both leagues, and we brought that swag to the Long Island League. And when we play the way we play, we make people upset. We go down to tournaments in Florida, we make people upset. But what I will say is, when we go against a team like that has that energy, that has the players that are, you know, celebrating their hits, you know, making big outs, getting hype about it, it makes me want to play them even more. Like you said, Jarv, it brings out the best in their opponents.
Absolutely.
It would bring out the best in us because I'm not trying to get shown up by some dude that just pimped a home run or made a spectacular catch or got the big out. I'm going to go back out there and do what I have to do to make that same play, if not better. So I just think that when you talk about, the swag, people of color being in this sport, specifically baseball, in the inner city, it shows itself time and time again how well it plays up and how much more entertaining it is. So for baseball, it's entertainment. Every sport, it's entertainment. And if you want to stick to traditions, if you want to stick to how the game used to be played, you'll never catch up. You're going to continue to lose fanfare.
And then
You'll never remember a championship team that was boring. You always remember the personalities that made you fall in love with. Even if you hated them, like those 90s Yankees teams had personality. We're going to remember that team forever. We don't talk about 2009. We talk about the late 90s to 2000 Yankees for a reason.
That's accurate. 2009 is like a blip on the radar compared to like 98, 2000. But what I will say, Steph, to your point, I know we have fans of all races race, colors, and creeds. But when we talk like this, there are times where white people may feel offended. Yeah. But I don't want you to get offended. What I want you to do is go join a couple baseball groups of different teams and different fans. Like I'm in a San Diego Padres group with 17,000 people. And the amount of vitriol that Machado, Tatis, Tommy Pham get and Jurickson Profile from their fans, their own fans, cannot stand them because they play the game differently. And what I want you guys to understand is, just like Steph said, the game in the inner city and the game around the world is played differently. All this, unwritten rule stuff, that was an American thing. Baseball is not an American sport. It is an international sport. And some of your best talent is from overseas. So what you're doing is you are essentially, stifling their own baseball culture to try to make them conform. No, their own baseball culture is what got them here, and it's making them the best player on your team. Allow them to be free and play.
I will say that it's not necessarily an attack on white people, but unfortunately, they're the gatekeepers in this sport. That is why we highlight it the way we do. It's not because, white people are just this and white people are that. They are the gatekeepers for baseball, right? Like they are in most sports, but predominantly white sport when in its inception, because of segregation. Now moving on into the modern era where you still see them trying to hold on to what was once theirs. And then that's the rejection of a player like Jose Reyes when he was as electric as he was for the Mets, getting, condemned for celebrating, hitting his home runs, being the flashy player that he is, showing his personality on the field, which is what we want in all of our players. Because in football, it's great, right? We love a celebration. Basketball, we love to get hype. But you can't have that in baseball. And why? Which sports are we watch the least? You know what I mean? So we can call a spade and understand that if we want to change with the times and get with it, then there needs to be implementation, understanding that the way that baseball was played in America before you had the implementation of people of color and as it is now is different. And the sooner you accept that, the better.
Even in Latin America, you look at the Latin America tournaments, right? Look at the crowd. Look at the energy. I don't understand why thousands of people, when you go to the Mexican, the DR, the Puerto Rican tournaments, all of these areas, and they get crazy, right?
Got drums in the stand,
bro.
But look at the World Baseball Classic
too.
The World Baseball Classic crowds are better than World Series crowds.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For that same reason. You look at to bring it full circle with Tatis and Mike Trout. Both players could show up in Soho right now. One of them is not getting recognized, and it's the player who's the best in the world. Why is that?
Yeah,
100%. So we got to end on a little fun topic. Home run derby, right? Shohei Ohtani said he's down to compete, which I think is exactly what baseball needs.
You need
absolutely.
I also need you to add. He is. I need you to also add that he is now the MLB leader in home runs.
Oh,
because when we spoke about it on Friday, he was third, and he had a tear this weekend, and he has 23 home runs now.
Yo, what? No, he was just at 19.
He was just at 19. That is the kind of player he is. He goes on the bump. He doesn't have to go on the bump every 5 days at this point, right? Because his bat now is speaking louder than his pitching. But when he pitches, he's still giving that team a chance to win, which is the bare minimum. But he goes out there, gets the Ks, he keeps the runs down, and the Angels have a chance as long as Ohtani's on the mound or at the plate. This is the two-way player that baseball needs. This is now like the Angels, what they're doing right now is pretty much making the template for a two-way player. How you utilize them to the best of their ability, because the more Ohtanis we have in this league, the better off the league is. Because every time he's out there, the stands are filled, people are watching, there are eyeballs on the game because you want to know what he's going to do. Because at any plate appearance, at any time he's on the mound, he's going to do something spectacular.
Not only that, he brings that energy too. He bat flips.
Yeah.
He steals bases, he celebrates. He does all that. And the crowd loves him.
Yeah. But
so
back to Derb. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, he's definitely box office. But every time you talk like that, it makes me upset that he's on the Angels. Because they do good players such a disservice. As far as good hitters, at least.
Mike Trout has one playoff appearance in his career. I mean, what are we really talking about? This is the organization's fault, not Mike Trout's fault.
Mike Trout is happy getting paid and hiding out in Anaheim.
So, Job, who are your 4 probables in each league that you would want to see in a home run derby?
Sheesh. I wasn't prepared for that.
So, hey, Jarv. I knew that you were, but I am. So I can go and you can think about it, help you out a little bit.
Yeah, I talked enough on this episode.
Yeah, you did. You talked a lot. And I think like you need time to think because that ain't no easy question to answer.
You're right.
So my American League 4 is gonna be, shout out to Manny, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The dude is phenomenal. You want to see him hit. You need players. There's certain players, even if he didn't have the home run number he did, I would want to see him in the home run derby.
Fact.
It's just the kind of guy he is. Shohei Ohtani, of course. All right, going back and forth right now for that lead. My 3rd is going to be Aaron Judge. I want to see Aaron Judge because that boy hits moonshots. I want to see someone big like that up in the home run derby. I have a few honorable mentions, but my 4th is going to be JD Martinez. Just because JD Martinez, he does it. You know what I mean? So when he left Detroit, going to the Red Sox, he hits. He hits, bro. I mean, well, it's not Detroit to Diamondbacks, correct? And then to the Red Sox. Yeah. So JD Martinez is another exciting player to see in the home run derby. Now, my honorable mentions are going to be Jared Walsh, because in the pandemic season, you saw Jared Walsh as a lefty hitter hitting home runs. Like, okay, he did his little thing in like a 60-game season. Wasn't sure if he could keep it up in a full season. He is still doing that to this day. I think he has 18 or 19 home runs right now for the Angels. So you have Jared Walsh, you have Mike Trout, you have Shohei Ohtani, you have big bats in that lineup. So I'd like to see Jared Walsh potentially. Joey Gallo is my other honorable mention because you don't like to hear about Joey. Bro. I got 2. I just got 2 more. No, it's honorable mentions are important, bro. Give me a second. Jarv got time too. Calm down.
Yeah.
So look, Joey Gallo is a player that he bats like 200 in a good season, maybe. But what is he best for? Hitting home runs. How is he not in a home run derby? This is the opportunity for Joey Gallo to become a household name because that is a talented man, is a big bat, big lefty bat, has speed. He's athletic at his size, but on a game-to-game basis, when you're seeing all the strikeouts that he gets, the power doesn't really necessarily register to people. So I think he should be one. And I'll make it quick in the National League. I got Fernando Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna, Juan Soto, who isn't having a great season. Declan was calling the great season for Juan Soto. It's not happening right now. It's a good season, but not great. But Juan Soto, and because it's in Colorado, Trevor Story. I think you have to have at least one player from the home field, to like get the crowd excited to cheer for. So Trevor Story. And just in my honorable mentions, it's going to be Freddie Freeman and Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos is just like a fun bad guy to some people. I like to see him up in that home run derby as well.
We got a little bit of overlap, a little bit.
All right.
I got my list ready here.
Bam.
So American League, obviously, you got to have Vlad Jr. I kind of feel old watching the Blue Jays between Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr. Who's the other BZOs over there as well? I'm like, I watched all of your dads play. Like, this is crazy to me. They have all of them, right? But Vlad Jr., to me, he's on that list with Tatis as must-watch players. And I think he had a performance a couple of years ago that was amazing. For me, selfishly, I want to see Giancarlo Stanton in that situation because I went a few years ago. I went to Miami and I watched him play. I didn't go there for that, but I was like, I'm in Miami and the Marlins are playing, and it was like $40 to get like first baseline ticket super cheap. And I saw him hit one out, and I'm like, oh God, this guy's amazing. Like, the ball went like 450 feet in like 2.5 seconds. It was crazy. So just for the competition aspect, I want to see it. To get some heat and get some booing going, I want Bregman from the Astros in there. I know it's a bad pick, but I just need some Astro energy. I'm pro-villain in baseball, so I want to see Bregman in there. And of course, you got to have Shohei Ohtani in there. He's the best show outside of the guys that we named previously. And if baseball wants to showcase their talent and get people to talk and go viral, I think he's the guy that needs to be there. On the National League side, it has to be Pete Alonso. Selfishly, I want him there because I feel like a home run derby will help him find his swing. I feel like his home run cut has been missing for about a year and a half now. And getting in that environment, because think about what he did in the home run derby 2019 and what happened in the second half of the season after that. He figured it out, became a monster. I want to see that. Ronald Acuna Jr., another player on that list of guys who are must-see. I hate the fact that he's a Brave. I can't stand him, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to entertainment, I'm all about that. Fernando Tatis Jr., obviously. What more that needs to be said? And finally, again, because we need some polarity, give me Bryce Harper. Give me the jerk. He's a Philly. I wanted him on the Mets. Somehow he went to the Phillies. And I hate, honestly, as a Mets fan, I hate Phillies more than anything else. But Bryce Harper, polarizing, entertaining, clickable item. That's what baseball needs.
Not so much this season, though. I feel like there's not that same narrative around Bryce Harper. He's been very quiet.
But he's a clickable item, bro. You put Bryce Harper's name anywhere, they
100%. He comes to Citi Field and it's a problem. Like everybody's up in arms. So you're right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I got Vladdy, consensus all around. Shohei, another consensus. Then I have Steph, you kind of stole my thunder with the Jared Walsh. Because I since I have him on my fantasy team, I try to watch his ABs whenever I can. This dude flat out hits. And I think this is and a lot of people don't get a chance to watch him. And I think a home run derby is a good way to put him on the map. And the fourth one is a little bit of a wrinkle. I think, but to kind of similar to you, Jar, in like that villain role, Jose Altuve. Let the little man get in there.
Altuve.
Yep.
So you want some Astro energy in there too. I
understand. 16 jacks. Let the little man get in here, get in there and do his thing. I don't think he'll get in there, but if so, the honorable mention on my side would be Aaron Judge because But I would like to see. I think Altuve in there would be like, oh, how dare you? Really ramp up the clicks for the MLB.
Yeah. True. We haven't had a small guy since like
didn't Pedroia do 1 year?
Pedroia, the laser show.
Yeah, but Altuve is a much better home run hitter than Pedroia.
Oh, definitely. I 100% agree with that.
And in the National League, I'm just like Job. I want Pete Alonso in there. I think he's a great guy to just put on a show. You got the whole polar bear narrative, and it's in Colorado. Like, to do something. So we got that. Nicky Castles, my guy. All right, the villain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need him in there. And Tatis. And then that fourth spot, I feel like that fourth spot was really up for grabs in the NL, but it has to go to Acuna Jr.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a definite for me. Acuna had to be in the home run derby.
It's gonna be a lot of DR flags for that.
That's a fact. Also, I think because since he is perennially a bad team, like the fact that Castellanos is leading the league in hitting and was up there in RBIs and home runs, nobody knows. But he's and there's another outfielder. It's not Duvall. Duvall's in Miami.
Oh, you're talking about Jesse
Winkler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The two of them out there just hitting bombs, and nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I mean it's because it's Cincinnati,
right? And they're not, outside of them getting violent, we don't talk about the Reds.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's
not at
true.
all. I mean, you have a team. We have Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo.
No, that's
what's the other pitcher that they have there? That he's had a rough season. The ace.
It is Castillo.
Castillo, right? Yeah. They're just having a rough go of it. I mean, so Gray is out. I know Castillo hasn't had a great season thus far, but they're just like that's a team that they hit, but defensively they're not great. Like you got those players, and you got them for offense. Like you're buying in on just offensive potential, which we earlier in Smoke and Mirrors we talked about how potent they were as an offense, and they're continuing to do that. But it's Cincinnati, and they're just not going to get the fanfare like that. You know, you're not going to hear people, like I said, household names. So I think that I think Nicky's a good one. I'm mad that I left off Pete Alonso, actually. So both of y'all having him was like, once you said it, Jarv, I'm like,
you said Trip. That's okay.
yo, nah. You know what it is? Because I'm looking at this list right now. I'm like, all right, I added like Soto and I added Trevor Story. I could.
I don't want to see no Juan Soto. Get him the F out of here. I don't want to see him.
You know, well, I mean, Juan Soto to me is someone that like he's a great player. He's another face.
He's the reason Bryce Harper became expendable.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like before he showed us what he could be. Like the Nationals committed to him. And to be honest, since he's come into the league, I believe his numbers have been better than Bryce Harper on a more consistent basis.
It has.
Because Bryce is just the home run hitter now. He's not the batting average guy. You know, he's not running through walls anymore, so he's staying healthier. But there's a lot more hype behind Bryce Harper than the numbers show. And then that's an argument for another day. A lot of people
don't talk about that.
I know. That's a conversation for another day.
The shift has hurt his batting average numbers. They shifted him out of the average top.
Yeah. So I did want to say, Steph, I do like your Trevor Story pick. You know, home team, that would be cool. That would be a nice little story. I don't think he would get anywhere with it because if I had to pick a winner in each league in the finals, it'd be Vlad Jr. and Pete Alonso. That would be my finals.
Yeah. I mean, bro, there's just some players that are fodder, though. Like, they're not going to make it out the first round. You know that. But, like, a home crowd loves to see their guy. You want to root for your guy. And I think Trevor Story is that guy for Colorado. So you have him in there, you know, and first round, maybe he makes some noise. Maybe he makes it to the second round. Even if he doesn't, you at least know that they're going to be hyped to see their guy out there taking hacks, big hacks.
And also, MLB, I don't know if you're listening, we need Shohei Ohtani to start the game and never come out the lineup. I don't care. Make it happen. Figure it out.
I mean, never. I mean, everybody they substitute in everyone. So
I mean, not never, but Shohei Ohtani needs 3 or 4 EBs.
Well, Greg, look, the unwritten rule says that he has to come out of the game. Okay.
Love them unwritten
Make it
rules.
happen. Figure it out.
Yeah, definitely.
We got mood lighting going on. What's going on there, bro? You saw that, Joe?
We see. Oh, back. So I had a lot. I mean, I had time. Y'all were doing your thing, right? Y'all were cooking. I needed to move my situation. All right, there was a lot going on.
You had to relocate.
I did a whole relocation, bro. I honestly, I have never had this kind of internet problem. So everyone back home, thank you for bearing with me. Jarv, thank you for being on because y'all held it down. Y'all really held it down. And I want to
really
just
am a real MVP, you know, so I do what I can.
This is a fact.
I mean, you know, I'm saying like you KD in game 5 with me right now. That's how you held it down, bro. Like
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
You know, and thank you for being resilient, Steph, and coming back and adding your tidbits to the conversation.
But you closed the fourth quarter strong.
Facts. You know. So once again, we thank Ray Jarvis. Ray Jarvis, you want to give out your handles?
You can find me on Instagram, Jarv TGA, Twitter, the same thing, Jarv TGA. New roundtable is out. We got another one coming. I think next week we drop a new episode. Gray Area is out. Talking about Ben Simmons later. So I'm on deck.
All right, cool. That's where you can find all his content. Good dude. Support the brand. All right. And from Smoke and Mirrors, not only do we have our Smoke and Mirrors show coming up on Friday, we also have the Wednesday show where if you want to do ifs, you can go to that show. Go there. All right. That's where you can do your ifs in sports. We don't do that here. All right.
You mean no ifs?
Yeah, I'm sorry. No ifs in sports. No ifs in sports.
Because you know that guy jump all over. Oh, you couldn't even say it right.
Yeah, so we don't do that here. All right. And Steph is all yours.
Oh, all right, cool. We doing a little tag team. It's funny that I bring up tag teams, since I was gonna say we also have off the top rope, which is gonna be today, 7:30. So y'all can check that out. He said the Wednesday show. As we said on Friday, B show is on hiatus, so you don't have that on Thursday, but we're gonna be back, Smoke and Mirrors, on Friday between 1 and 2.
And all right. I'm sorry. Stay tuned. There's more coming from the sports hit list. You know, Carl always cooking something up, so he got something in the works. So in that regard, you know, shout out to Carl for always staying on top of it.
Yeah, and again, Jarv, I just want to appreciate you for coming out. Not going to be the last time. I mean, this was great. I love having the guest appearance, and like I feel as though there's going to be a future episode with Jarv and Carl. I gotta have it. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm down for the cause. You know, you guys got that other guy out the way. You know, I'm glad to take his spot today. Yeah, you've been carrying him for a little bit, so shout out to him. But nevertheless,
you know
what's here today.
You know what I like about Smoke and Mirrors? That there's always smoke for everyone. Like at some point in time, you're gonna catch it. And Deck, you caught it today. I'm sorry, brother.
I have a long memory. Declan's been asking for a long time. I'm disappointed he's not here. All joking aside, I'm disappointed he's not here, so I could cook him in person. But you're gonna get it anyway.
It's gonna be another time.
Was much brighter today.
But with that, I want to say, hope y'all enjoyed. Again, this is Smoke and Mirrors. I'm Stephen Polius alongside Greg Polius and Jarv, the man himself, Ray Jarvis. I'm going to say the whole name. All right.
Appreciate it.
But we'll catch you again on Friday, again between 1 and 2. Until then, have a great week. Take care.